Hey, what's up guys, Chris here, and Final Fantasy VII First Soldier is what we're talking about today. We have Letter from the Devs, Volume 4. So they're going over a lot of their recent changes, kind of their how they think those changes have impacted the game. They're also talking about some future stuff and advertising a couple events. So we're going to go over all of that and more in this video. Let me know if you guys want to see more First Soldier content in the comments section below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's jump into this. All right, Letter from the Devs, Volume 4. Hello everyone, it's Ichikawa, the producer of Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier, back with another installment of Letter from the Devs. In Japan, it's tradition on Valentine's Day to give chocolates to those you care about, but isn't that not a worldwide tradition, but the situation these days makes it difficult to meet face-to-face to exchange sweets. Perhaps Valentine's Day is another event that will shift to online spaces. The Valentine's Day event is underway in Final Fantasy VII First Soldier, having started on January 31st. The event has a lot of gaudy but cute skins that fit the holidays themes. Maybe you can jump in and play with that special someone to safely celebrate online. Yeah, let me get right on that. In this edition of Letter from the Devs, we'll be sharing updates about crash fixes, information about the Final Fantasy VII collab that was announced in our first official livestream, upcoming balance adjustments, and more. Another lengthy volume, but I once again ask that you stick with me through the end. So we're going to go through a few of these improvements that they're making. Number one is crash fixes planned for the 2016 update. That's tomorrow from the making of this video. They say first, the latest updates regarding the crashing problems that have been occurring in the game since its release. Probably the number one issue in the game right now is the crashes, because you could get really far in a game crashes. Both my highest kill game and my longest win streak have both been ended by game crashes while fighting in the final circle. So it says there are four main possible causes we're looking at. One of them is the rapid loading of graphics for battle effects, buildings, etc. will be addressed in an update to the app that will be released during maintenance on 2.16. Update will do the following. All right, let's see what they're talking about. Implement optimizations to maximize memory performance for iOS 15 and higher. Yes, for sure. Game does not run well on iOS 15. I'll be able to let you guys know how this feels. I'm on iOS 15. I play on an iPad Pro. Optimize the back end of several battle actions that have a heavy memory load. Yes, the game does tend to crash only when you're fighting, so obviously they've identified they're loading too much stuff during fights. Reduce some background objects. Adjust abrupt memory usage processes related to the loading of graphics mid-battle. So yeah, the game crashes a lot of times mid-battle. Also, you do get frame drops to like 15 frames would be good mid-fight. I've recorded less than 10 frames per second sometimes mid-fight. Commonly, you're under 20 frames per second mid-fight. So this is definitely needed. They've definitely identified there's lots of graphics being thrown out for materia and other stuff. So hopefully this fixes it. They said after our app version update that was distributed on 1/20, so this is January 20th, they confirmed a roughly 30% reduction in the frequency of crashes. That's true, the game does crash less now than it used to, but it still crashes quite often. However, we recognize it's taking a very long time to completely address all of the root causes and eliminate crashes completely. We offer you the deepest apologies for the trouble. I do appreciate them saying this, and after we did the Justin and Friends stream for War of the Visions, they did ask us for some feedback, basically for the development team. This is something I asked War of the Visions to do. I said, listen guys, we just need more communication, more transparency, and I love that First Soldier does this. They're saying, guys, we know there's issues, we're working on them, and this goes a long way, especially in gaming these days when gaming companies can be so opaque about what they're working on, or about even acknowledging that there's issues with the game. I love that First Soldier does this. Even if they're just saying, guys, we know there's problems and we're sorry that there's problems, we're working on it. That's better than not saying anything and not addressing it. So I like this. I really like that they're saying that. It does kind of suck that the game was released in a state in which there's been so many crashes. Like, fix your game before you release it, but at least they identified and apologized for that. Okay. Further, we received many comments about lag and rubber banding during gameplay. Yes, the game does lag quite often. I have a really good internet connection too, so I can't even imagine for people who don't play this game like on a stable home connection. They're like on the go or maybe on a slower internet connection. I've never experienced too much, some rubber banding, but not a lot. If you guys don't know what that is, that basically means like you'll be walking or moving somewhere and you'll basically, the server will update and it'll snap you back to where you were before. It's called rubber banding in these games. I haven't experienced too much of that during First Soldier, but apparently a lot of people are. It says, while we have several theories, including network stability and memory usage issues, this update includes an adjustment to how loads are processed, which we think is the main cause. Okay, so they're trying to basically load less things in order to improve the game's quality. We're working as hard as we can to address all crashes and errors. Ask for your understanding and patience until more significant issues can be corrected. They need to hurry up. Season 2 or if this doesn't fix the crashes by season 3, I mean, it's already affected the game a lot. I think their numbers are down a lot because of the game crashes. All right, Final Fantasy VII collab event. I won't like read through this one. Basically, they're doing a collab event where you can get all of these skins from the original Final Fantasy VII game in First Soldier. Kind of cool. A lot of nostalgia going along with these character skins. I don't remember like Cloud's polygon looking like quite, and Tifa's looking this awkward. Is this actually what they look like? I'll have to go look this up after. But anyway, this is the old Final Fantasy VII skins. Looks kind of cool. So yeah, that's kind of neat. I think the coolest thing about this, we already had the Scorpion Sentinel in the game, but they're doing the graphics like the old Final Fantasy VII version. You'll get a like polygon Cactar. I think this is cool though. These look like new enemies that we'll have. They're Shinra soldiers and they look just like they do from the original game. That's really cool. I like this. So basically you can kill these monsters. It says when you take down 25th anniversary monsters, you'll be able to obtain limited time data pieces in secret boxes. Gather enough data you can exchange for collab exclusive rewards. So just like right now for season 1, you can get like all the Mog skins and medals and all those things. Like you can do the same thing for this event probably. Okay, now into the good stuff, the balance adjustments for the game. So they are trying to fix crashes. Let's see, balance adjustments made on 118. So they're talking, this is basically their review of some of the changes they've made and how they've affected the game. What did you think of the balance adjustments we made last month? Some people have felt it made a difference while others didn't notice. Following is some of the data before and after the adjustments. As always, the sample size is a couple of days both before and after the change. Okay, so I'm not gonna like really go through this data. Basically, they're showing that hide is being used more now than it used to be because they made adjustments to hide, and they're showing ninjas get used more than they used to. I'm going to digress here for a second because looking at this data, they say the sample size is a couple days before and after the change, but like they're just giving us total number of usages of the hide ability and total number of games, I guess, of ninjas being played. But like, if you're really measuring that, you need to compare the same amount of games, not like today or days or like a time frame. So like, if you guys work like in a real corporate job or you work in an actual workplace where they use data like this in order to drive the decisions that they make, there's two ways that you can use these statistics. Specifically gaming companies, there's two ways that you can use these kind of statistics. One is that there's statistics that you provide to the public or that you show people in order to tell a narrative that you want it to tell. So you'll say this was a 10% increase in order to make people think that, oh, there was an increase here. The other is when you use data internally in order to drive the decisions. And that's usually a completely different data set, is the data that people use internally to drive company decisions. And then number two, a data set that you use publicly in order to tell a narrative that you want to tell. This seems to be that second one where it's like, they're just giving us saying it's a couple days. I'm hoping they're using this data correctly, but the way that they're presenting this data kind of seems like they don't know what they're doing with this data. They're just saying, hey, ninja usage is up over 2-day span, not over the same amount of games, or I don't know. Give us some more context with this data. This doesn't really mean anything to me, saying that hide and ninjas are used more. Ninja is my number one class. I play ninja more than anything. I don't use hide. I think hide sucks. If you guys have watched some of my gameplay videos, anytime I fight a ninja, I love when they use hide because they can't shoot you back and you can still see them even after the adjustment to hide. So I think hide sucks. I still think it sucks. It needs to perform a little bit differently. Just saying that the usage of hide is up does not mean you made a good change to the ability. All right, anyway, after the adjustment to hide, its usage in ranked solo matches increased significantly, blah, 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 blah. They're saying in standard matches, it went down because of casual players playing warriors. maybe there's some truth to that. It stands out to me that Hyde sees more usage in solo than in team matches to act alone and skulk in the shadows is very ninja-like. This is true. Ninja is very much a solo class, a lot better in solo matches. Monks are much better in team matches, for example, not as good as in solo matches. Ninja is a much more solo class, doesn't have a lot of abilities that help you in teams, like you aren't going to reposition yourself to get another angle very well in teams. So Ninja not as good. All right, the second adjustment they made was to fire and blizzard materia. Basically the same thing I talked about with the Hyde thing. They're saying fire is being used the same amount as it was before. So you basically have like 66,000, 59,000, but it's doing a whole lot less, or causing a whole lot less kills and doing a whole lot less damage. Blizzard usage is up because they didn't like where it was at, so they buffed it a little bit. Okay, cool. So people are using fire the same amount as they were before, but it's less impactful. It needed to be. It was way overpowered. So kind of bragging that this change was awesome, that you guys made this change, should have been done like at launch. This should have been balanced before in the beta. That was very obvious. All right, so adjustments to fire and blizzard. We won't go over that. Basically, they're saying blizzard's being used more, fire's being used the same amount, but it's less impactful. Okay, good for you. Balance adjustments planned for 2.16. So this is the adjustments they're planning in the future. New features, additional action after being sent flying. Tapping the jump button in the air at the right time after receiving a kick from a chocobo, the final attack of a melee combo, etc. will allow you to stand up more quickly. Actions, including attacks, can be performed freely after successfully pulling off this to counter the enemy. Now, it will be interesting to see how they implement this, but basically what they're saying is instead of being knocked to the ground and being like stunned for a certain amount of time, if you're airborne, you'll be able to push a button at a certain time and recover a lot quicker. This is going to create a larger skill gap between experienced players and non-experienced players, because this is going to be something that experienced players will be doing all of the time. They're going to get up, and non-experienced players are probably not going to hit this in the air at the right time as often. So this is just going to increase the skill gap. We're going to have to see how this actually plays, but I'm not sure I like this change. They definitely need to do something here, but I think it maybe should just be automatic instead of having it be a timed skill-based thing. We'll see how that works. Color-coded ally death boxes, basically they're making it so when your allies die, they drop different colored death boxes. Okay, that's cool. Option to hold the ADS button to keep aiming down sight. It says right now ADS has only been toggleable up until now, but we'll be adding an option to have ADS only be active while holding the button. Well, on controller, I think it already is this way, so this must be a touch screen thing. On controller, it bugs out sometimes, like where it is this way. But I'm pretty sure this is just a touchscreen control thing. Bomb launcher adjustment, they're decreasing the damage. Basically, they're saying the bomb launcher doing too much damage. They say that they know that the rate of fire has been a greater issue than its damage. That's true. The rate of fire is a much bigger issue, and especially because of that stun locking thing. Basically, it knocks you to the ground and kind of stun locks you, like you can just basically kill somebody from full life. The bomb launcher maybe should just be removed from the game, in my opinion. Raise adjustments, MP cost reduced from 4 to 3. Okay, that's fine. And then expanded area of effect and area in which it can be used. In my personal opinion, the material like raise and cure shouldn't even be something you have to throw out. Like the second you start casting it, it should basically, the AI should be smart enough to know should just be able to aim in the direction of somebody and have it automatically raise them. The way that you aim raise and cure in team matches is very awkward. Just fix the way that you aim these materia. Don't just expand the area of effect because they can be weird to hit with. All right, lastly, improvements under consideration for Season 2. Said, although we already mentioned some of the updates coming in Season 2 in the recent live stream, we're also considering the below balance adjustments. So they aren't guaranteed going to do this, but they're considering them. Dealing with technique to reduce attack intervals by switching weapons. Currently, players switching their guns after an attack will not need to wait the same interval. As they kept the weapon out, but we don't believe this sort of skill is something we want players to have to master in order to excel at the game. Square Enix, isn't it about time you just hired me? This was something I pointed out in the beta of the game. I pointed this out. I had it in my review. This has not changed. I told you players would be abusing this, Basically what they're talking about here is if you're shooting your weapon, you get locked into like a strafing mode. You can get out of that by just switching your weapon. And it's a skill that players can develop in order to move a lot better, in order to be a lot more maneuverable in the game. I said this would create a skill gap between players who would do strafe canceling and not, and they're basically acknowledging that this is a problem. I told you this was a problem in the beta like 8 months ago, so 6 months ago, whatever it was. And they're acknowledging it, saying they're going to fix it. So they're planning an update to create an appropriate interval in between the last shot fired after changing weapons sometime in March or later. So they're gonna try and fix that. Just hire me already. Addition of boss monster field nullification damage from outside field. Says currently only glitch enemies have a field surrounding them, so that's like cloud, like for example. We did plan to add a similar feature for boss monsters, hope to nullify damage from players. So basically they're saying if you're fighting like a scorpion sentinel, they'll have an invincibility bubble, so you have to go into the bubble in order to fight other players. You can't just like kill players from a distance. Okay, whatever. It's awkward anyway, this whole bubble, and the fact that you have to do this. This is kind of making it more awkward. I think they need to like reevaluate that whole mechanic of fighting boss monsters. Like maybe even create a zone where it's only PvE inside that zone until the boss is taken out. Chocobo adjustments. Made several adjustments to the strength of the Chocobo's kick. We'll continue to observe the behavior and make several adjustments during Season 2. They nerfed Chocobo's hard. I wonder if they're actually considering bringing Chocobo's power back up a little bit. That's interesting. Materia style adjustments. Buff Thundaga. Doesn't need to be buffed. It's already very, very strong. Buff Bioga. Don't know why they think that needs to be buffed either. They must be seeing materia usage numbers and seeing people not use these. I use Thundaga all the time when I'm not playing a warrior. It's so powerful, preventing warriors from running up and meleeing you. Very, very powerful materia. Don't know why they think it needs to be buffed. Maybe because not enough people are using it. Bioga also similarly does not need to be buffed. It prevents players from healing for such a long time if you hit them with it. It's very powerful. Buff Ranger's accessibility. How about just make it not send out a giant blue cone that tells everyone where you're at? That would be a great start. In fact, that's the only thing they need to do. Just make it so only the ranger gets that cone. It's not actual visible to other players. This is a good ability. The only problem is that it basically broadcasts your entire location, to everybody within, within a sight line. It's terrible because of that. Just take that away. Buff Ranger's control. This is basically the ability that lets you control a slug ray. Like it's literally the little drone from Warzone, like where you sit in a place, you have a little like radio like joystick thing, and you're controlling a slug ray, and your character's just sitting there. Yeah, it's terrible. Just make this where it controls itself. Have it be AI controlled. Like you just throw it out and it's like a summon, and maybe it even puts a little second screen in the corner of your screen that like gives you a second camera angle, and it's AI controlled, and it just goes for the nearest player, can actually attack them. Might be better. The worst part about this ability is you just sit there like prone basically while you're controlling the slug ray. Buff Monk's inner strength. This is the ability that basically is like a once per game. Once you get below 20% HP, it like prevents a certain amount of that damage, gives you like crit bonuses and melee bonuses and stuff. This ability just needs to be changed. Like the way I would like this ability to be is like, it needs to act like Courage does in War of the Visions, where it's like prevents lethal damage maybe once. Like literally they should just copy Karazim's ability from Heroes of the Storm. Make this be something that like activates once you get below a certain amount of HP. If you take lethal damage, it actually like brings you back to life at like 50% health. So it actually can be a way to heal if you can time it correctly, or it can prevent players from actually killing you. It just works really awkwardly right now. It needs to be something like that prevents lethal damage, like Courage and War of the Visions. Anyway, last thing, Season 1 ranking rewards. So they're basically sending out where you finished in ranked, you'll get special like titles or emblems. That's cool. They still haven't sent out the President Cup rewards yet. I haven't seen them anyway. So anyway, that's it for this update, guys. A lot of cool stuff. I do want to do a full review of the Season 1 and kind of how it went for First Soldier and what we're looking forward to in the future. Let me know your thoughts on a lot of these changes in the game. I know this was a longer video, but they are doing, I do love that First Soldier is putting a lot of time and effort into communicating with the community, trying to improve the game. I really hope that this game can improve and catch a little bit more fire in Season 2 and Season 3 and bring in some more players. I really do think that it could be a really good game. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate you dropping in, and we will catch you next time.